Shall we play a game?
Fight all you want, you old fool. You're merely delaying the inevitable.
Thank you for a very enjoyable game.
Thanks for tuning in for the final match of round 2, where the Average Joes will take on Team WOPR. Starting out, CrossToss will take on BananaBrain with a PvP on Jade. Then TerrBear faces off against Ironbot on Neo Moonglaive. CudleZerg vs Betastar is next on Tau Cross, and rounding out the lineup, CrossToss takes on McRaveZ on Electric Circuit. We did have a small announcement though before we started the games. Due to some format changes for round 3 and the extra production needed, plus the holidays coming up, we will be taking some time off from the league matches for about a week. However, we also have a special event match planned for that week off, and we'll also be posting our epic practice games that week. We will be resuming round 3 of league play on December 17th. Starting December 17th as well, the matches will be broadcast once a week instead of twice a week. They will be broadcast every Sunday evening American time. We will release a full schedule via a new video soon, as well as the standings for round 2. Thank you for understanding, and now on with the games. And starting the series off, we have BananaBrain for Team WOPR up here at the 2 o'clock. And CrossToss for the Average Joes down here at the 5 o'clock. Currently, BananaBrain actually has overtaken Stardust as not only the top Protoss spot, but also, I believe, the top bot just overall on Snail in this last week, roughly. Be pretty intimidating here for CrossToss. We'll have to see if he's able to kind of push past that, or if maybe that causes him to misplay a little bit. But BananaBrain making the probes, and CrossToss making the probes. You have the first pylons now for both players. Currently also a interesting map, Jade, featuring the reverse here of the ramps. Normally it goes the other way. You start on the high ground and then go to the low ground for your natural, but one of the few maps where that's actually reversed. You start on the low ground and then your natural is on high ground, so that may come into play with all sorts of reaver shenanigans and dragoons with range and whatnot. You can really bottleneck your opponent there. And CrossToss actually putting 2 probes on here, probably looking to do something similar as he did against Skyforknet. But to continue and finish my thought there, you know, you can push your opponent into this area right here on the low ground. You know, you just kind of keep your units right here, and you just pretty much hold off any advance that they can do, and you know, eventually they mine out and lose the game. But both players, gateways finishing, gas is being taken, and a core added as well for BananaBrain. Does look like we have a core coming out of here for CrossToss. Both players seemingly skipping the Zealot and going straight. Nope, excuse me. BananaBrain is getting the Zealot. However, CrossToss skipping that Zealot. Both players actually so far pretty mirrored builds. The one gateway, one core, and the gas. Adding on the second pylon. The only real difference here is BananaBrain ended up getting a Zealot, and that may actually come to his advantage as it pops out just in time to block CrossToss's scout. Meanwhile, BananaBrain also scouting CrossToss last and will run into this wall of probes. And we do have the Citadel of Adun started for CrossToss. Meanwhile, range started for BananaBrain. And I do believe, yes, CrossToss actually skipping his own range to get out the Citadel even faster. Is now deciding to make a Zealot. Meanwhile, BananaBrain has gained one Goon, one Gateway, one Zealot. Not really doing much else. Meanwhile, I imagine that Templar Archives going down immediately as soon as he can afford it to get these DTs out as fast as possible. And indeed, there it is. Meanwhile, BananaBrain, unfortunately unable to scout, is deciding to add a robotics blind, so will ironically make the right choice and kind of adapt to what he can't see and guess, most likely DTs. I mean, it could have been a Reaver, but let's be honest, if someone's blocking the ramp, it's probably DTs. And in this case, BananaBrain, right on the money, because it is indeed DTs coming his way. Meanwhile, adding on a second gate, going gate, robotics, gate, is just continuing to pump out goons out of that one gateway so far. Meanwhile, CrossToss has got 2 gateways finished. DT started in both of them, both roughly about 30% of the way done. Meanwhile, already starting the observatory. CrossToss will be able to catch that little probe as it comes in and try to scout past the Zealot. However, BananaBrain already basically countering CrossToss's build without even knowing it. And the first DTs are out, making their way towards BananaBrain's base. Meanwhile, we don't have anything else really going on for CrossToss. And that observer, again, pop out just in time. Right as right as these DTs will be hitting this ramp. Is able to moderately hurt one and take off its shields. However, CrossToss able to save at least both DTs. His next move, though, is just to keep making DTs. Is sending those 2 probes back to mine. And in fact, the observer just following those DTs for now deciding to go back. BananaBrain, though, buttoned up that ramp like no one's business. Added on a robotic support bay. Has a Reaver almost done. No shuttle, though. Meanwhile, CrossToss has added a 3rd gate. Has a forge. Possibly considering that he might be getting revenge DT'd. However, BananaBrain just doing the insane safe build to gateway robotics. Probably has a shuttle just about. Nope, making that 2nd Reaver for now. Meanwhile, CrossToss immediately throwing down that 4th gateway. And it looks like BananaBrain has actually got his probe trapped in this little ball of units at his ramp. Unknown if he is trying to expand with that or something else. Meanwhile, Zealots, Dragoons, all being pushed out of these gateways. We have Goon Range being created. BananaBrain finally deciding to expand. But we also have Zealot Legs. However, no upgrades or research on the Archives or Forge. Adding on another pylon. Honestly, BananaBrain has the far superior army here, comparatively. Like, yes, CrossToss has a lot of DTs, but they're extremely fragile, and he has very low goon presence, just now adding range onto them. I gotta say, BananaBrain looking on pace to just take this game, and they give CrossToss his 2nd loss. Deflecting that DT rush with this very, very extreme precision. Meanwhile, Natural Nexus for BananaBrain, about 80% done. Just chilling out, seeing everything in CrossToss's army. Supply-wise, it doesn't look that bad. However, BananaBrain does have a 30 worker count, so CrossToss technically may have an equal army because we got roughly a 7 supply differential here, which is the difference between the workers right now. However, both players deciding that now is the time to move out. CrossToss taking on this high ground, going around BananaBrain's army. BananaBrain can't really decide what he wants to do. CrossToss sending a few zealots to kind of screen for his army. Rushing in now, gathering up. Is going to lose one of those DTs and a goon. Meanwhile, CrossToss rushing in. BananaBrain forced to bring back his army. CrossToss splitting up these units a little bit. Sending some into the natural and some into the main here. Might have been able to do something there. However, in the main, able to start inflicting a lot of damage. Starting to even up that worker count. However, CrossToss has no expansion behind this and really no way to reinforce this army. So once these units are gone, BananaBrain will have pretty much the total map control. And actually starting to work on this Nexus, saying forget the workers for now. BananaBrain though, down to 12 workers. And CrossToss able to get the main Nexus. Is going to start running these DTs around to buy him some time. However, supplies, despite the worker difference, 13 worker difference in CrossToss's favor. BananaBrain has the way bigger army. In fact, CrossToss having just these 4 goons right here. Meanwhile, BananaBrain on 4 gateways, however, unable to really produce. Pretty much has to go all in with this one army, and if he's unable to take out CrossToss, will probably actually lose this game. So CrossToss possibly working his way back into this game, depending on how he can handle this attack. And is actually going to make a gas in the corner there, just in case it turns into a base trade. However, I think that is a pipe dream here, as these goons micro back and forth. Reavers, however, deciding not to pop out, saving their shots for some other different things. Meanwhile, trying to make a wall of cannons. Apparently it was trying to make it at the natural here, but did not make it in time, as these goons and Reavers just punched right through all the forces there. Combined, if he would have been able to save those goons and had these cannons already made, he probably could have held off that attack. Meanwhile, goons starting to work on here at the top of the ramp. Is going to be able to take down these cannons right before they warp in. However, these back 2 cannons are able to start actually shooting here soon. And able to hit these goons right as they come down the ramp. CrossToss doing everything he can to pump out as many units as he can, but currently, BananaBrain able to start bursting down all of these everything. Just goons, gateways, cannons with this Reaver micro. Able to take out 1 gateway, knocking it down to a total of 3 gateways. Meanwhile, CrossToss has actually lost the worker advantage, with BananaBrain finally filling up his natural and 3rd Nexus mineral lines. However, is quickly running out of units. Could CrossToss actually hold off this attack? Down to just 2 goons and 2 Reavers. However, able to take out these cannons, which was pretty much the only thing keeping CrossToss in this game. And CrossToss trying to use whatever he can, trying to spread these goons out. However, SimCity forcing these goons together. And unfortunately didn't move it back far enough. And BananaBrain starting to fire on the probe line. Taking out these goons left and right. And has severely destroyed all of CrossToss's workers. And CrossToss deciding, GG. CrossToss, unfortunately not looking as invincible in this round as he had in round 1, loses to BananaBrain and puts Team WOPR up 1-0. Will TerrBear be able to pull the momentum back in the Joe's favor? Time to find out. And starting the game off on Neo Moonglaive, we have IronBot for Team WOPR, starting here at roughly the 8 o'clock. TerrBear for the average Joes at roughly the 5 o'clock. Currently 0-1 in favor of Team WOPR. We'll have to see if TerrBear is able to even it back up and bring his team back into the game. Or if we're going to see a repeat like last time and unfortunately see a 3-1 in favor of Team WOPR. Currently, both players, again, just working out those SCVs as fast as they can. Getting all the workers up. Doing everything they can to get that economy jump-started for whatever strategies they want to employ. Should currently see a supply depot most likely out of both players soon, unless one of them is going for a delayed 8 racks. And IronBot going for that depot. And also CrossToss going for the depot. TVT would be pretty interesting. TerrBear actually says that he rarely plays it, considering how often he runs into Zerg and Protoss opponents, so it's not actually the most knowledgeable, but his win rate is ironically not bad comparatively to like something like TVP. So we'll have to see if IronBot's able to score a win off him, or TerrBear might be able to work something out. So far though, TerrBear adding that barracks. IronBot also adding the barracks. So far, very mirrored builds for this opener. IronBot deciding though to scout just a little earlier. Taking his gas though. Meanwhile, TerrBear also taking the gas. Meanwhile, IronBot will scout wrong on the first try. Unable to find TerrBear until the second try. However, both players looking like they're going to do something maybe with factories. I can't imagine bio play, although with bots, you know, you never know. Sometimes they do some really off-the-wall builds, even at the higher levels, but is actually deciding to make the depot, second depot with the racks, which will actually delay the factory just a little bit. Meanwhile, TerrBear going right into the factory, has a Marine going to the ramp, will actually be able to keep IronBot out, unable to scout him if he's able to get the Marine on ramp in time. Meanwhile, TerrBear also scouting, unfortunately, in the wrong direction. IronBot, factory roughly 50% done. Meanwhile, TerrBear actually closer to 80%. Really see the time difference here when you go for the second depot before the factory. However, other than that, both players have kept their SCVs on gas, so I don't think either player is going to be going for a fast expansion anytime soon. And in fact, TerrBear throwing down 1 starport. Throwing down 2 starports. And IronBot almost done with its second factory. TerrBear, 3 Marines on the ramp so far. Potentially may have to add more with this 2 factory aggression coming his way. And will actually scout out IronBot as soon as that Vulture comes out to play. Will immediately blow away that scouting SCV. Meanwhile, IronBot, just a mass amount of vultures coming towards TerrBear. But TerrBear, so far, has added 1 vulture of his own and a couple Marines. Added a add-on to his starport, the control tower, and then also has a wraith making. So we're going to actually be seeing some, and actually, IronBot adding on his own starport, maybe going for a drop. And if he is, TerrBear completely countering that build if he can catch that dropship before he can get the vultures into TerrBear's base. Meanwhile, using this high ground, doing everything he can to keep these vultures out of his main. And in fact, multiple shots missing there. Scouting SCV, doing a little repairing at the natural. Meanwhile, IronBot is just going ham with these vultures, researching mines now. does have a Wraith on the way, so actually not even doing the drops like I thought, just throwing in Vulture Wraith. However, TerrBear content to do the same, but with a slight variation with more Wraiths instead of less Vultures compared to Ironbot. We'll have to see if Ironbot will actually be able to push through here. Does have roughly 4 or 5 Vultures. Meanwhile, TerrBear only has the 2 Vultures and 2 Marines. Really needs to probably throw down a bunker sooner than later if he's going to stop these Vultures from coming up his main base. However, Cloak is also almost done, and we have a total of 3 Wraiths so far for TerrBear. TerrBear able to pick off a couple of those mines down at the bottom of his ramp as they're being laid. However, Ironbot has not been able to make any headway whatsoever. Unable to really get in there and do anything. And actually, the Wraiths fly right by each other on the way to each other's base. And TerrBear finally adding the bunker at his ramp. Throwing in the Marines, it's gathering those Vultures around that bunker to keep that Wraith at bay. Meanwhile, though, his Wraiths just absolutely decimating Ironbot's mineral line. Ironbot is trying to add an engineering bay, however, taking a significant amount of damage. Has almost equalized the worker differential. And in fact, that Wraith doesn't want any business with that bunker, but wants to start picking off these Vultures. Unable to do so, though. Meanwhile, we have another Wraith showing up for TerrBear for a total of 4 in the main of Ironbot. Ironbot is in a lot of trouble as pretty much any anti-air source that he has is immediately killed by these Wraiths before they even get a shot off. Killing off Marines and SCVs left and right. Not actually needing to even use Cloak to be able to destroy all of these workers. Ironbot probably is just about to lose this game as his worker count is almost half of what TerrBear's is. And these Vultures unable to break through this defense here at the ramp with the Vultures and bunkers keeping everything at bay. Same with the Wraith there. And Ironbot running out of money and running out of workers very quickly. In fact, down to 3 workers altogether. 2 workers now. And one of the workers coming in immediately going to be picked off by these Wraiths. And his last worker is actually in the natural. And every time he's tried to push up here, immediately met with all of these Vultures raining hell on whatever Vulture is in the front. He pretty much has 0 chance of winning this game now. And in fact, TerrBear starting to go to work on everything. Killing depots, killing supply facilities. Probably start killing all the production soon. And in fact, we'll catch this last worker. And with that last worker, I can't imagine what Ironbot is going to do. Unable to push up this ramp and with no income source, doesn't really have a good way to come back into this game. And not producing anything out of his factories currently. Oh, and with that, GG! And TerrBear, able to deflect Ironbot's Vulture play with his own Vultures and bunker, allowed his Wraith fleet to claim victory in Ironbot's mineral line. Can CudleZerg keep the momentum going, or will Betastar be able to DDR himself out of CudleZerg's tempo? The game starts now. And starting out on Tau Cross here, we have CudleZerg for the average Joe spawning at the 10 o'clock. And Betastar for Team WOPR spawning at the 1 o'clock. Currently, Betastar, roughly top 5 Protoss spots against humans on the Schnell ladder. Is decently high as well on the Basil ladder. Will be a very respectable opponent for CudleZerg to try to take down. CudleZerg supposedly has been working on his ZVP, though he has said he prefers a more aggressive style akin to something, you know, like Yellow or Quanro, those kinds of pro gamers. So we'll have to see if he has some sort of special build in store for Betastar. Betastar, though, sending out that first probe here to the natural, making that pylon. Probably going to go for some sort of gateway or forge expand. CudleZerg, though, has the Overlord started. Seems to be going for a 12 hatch. Actually adding gas. Oh, no, that's just for a gas trick. Extractor trick. However, is banking more minerals, so I do believe he is, yeah, he's going for the 12 hatch. Overlord finally hatching, is adding on those extra drones. Meanwhile, do have the forge going down for Betastar. Betastar able to find CrossToss on the first scout. And in fact, CrossToss still is keeping that Overlord to the path in the other way. CrossToss sending out a drone scout, though, and taking that natural hatchery. Probably add on a pool here soon. Indeed. Has scouted out these cannons here. In fact, killing several cannons as soon as they pop out. Wasting multiple chunks of Betastar's minerals. However, will lose the scouting drone in return. Meanwhile, CrossToss actually adding on the gas before the third hatchery. And moving an Overlord now to scout out Betastar's main. Betastar does have 2 cannons finally warping in. However, it looks like about to add his natural nexus, including starting it right now. Meanwhile, CudleZerg content to let this Overlord just float randomly in the middle of the map. Is hatching some wings. However, adding on more drones now at the natural. Actually using that to make a creep colony. And with these Zerglings spawning, I imagine that probe's days are numbered. In fact, catching it almost immediately. And Betastar adding on that gateway to finish off his wall off. Has a gas going. Meanwhile, CudleZerg sending out these Zerglings. Probably perch him out in front of the natural there. And CudleZerg actually going for a layer on 2 hatcheries. He's going to go 2 hatch muta, some sort of lurker play. Maybe some sort of quick lurker contain into a mass expand. In fact, going for the Hydralisk Den, so I gotta imagine lurkers will be involved somehow. And in fact, poking here at the front, only seeing those 2 cannons. Meanwhile, natural nexus finish for Betastar. Does have another gateway coming online, however, has not started the core. Has added a 3rd cannon, however, sniffing maybe some potentially aggressiveness coming. However, CrossToss has almost 90% researched on the layer. 95%. 100%. Or 100% now, you know. It's a little weird that the bar was full, but the layer hadn't finished yet, but, you know, it is what it is. And in fact, researching Lurker now has a couple Hydras morphing and immediately pivoting these drones mining minerals at his natural to mining just gas. And actually, this Overlord just hanging out. Hasn't actually gone into the main of Betastar. Are we going to see potentially some quick Overlord drops? In fact, yes, we are. Seeing Overlord drops being researched right now. CudleZerg looking to bypass that wall off at the natural and just immediately go into the main, or possibly eventually down here. You know, I mean, he's got an overlord, man. It drops. He can pretty much go anywhere, even if it's at a slow speed. And in fact, Betastar trying to go out and scout with the goon, however, immediately caught by these Zerglings and killed off. And CudleZerg sending another overlord with some more Zerglings to potentially aid this lurkerling attack. And has just started morphing these lurkers. Drop roughly 70% of the way done. And Betastar adding on more and more gateways. However, no robotics in sight. And drops roughly 90% of the way done. And more lings. In fact, Betastar going for a quick push here. CudleZerg able to finally load up these overlords. Is going to drop these lurkers into the main of Betastar, doing the 3 centimeter drop build. However, seeing this attack from Betastar, immediately recalling the lings that he had tried to swap and put over there and drop in the main as well. And these lurkers immediately getting in that probe line. Pretty much blowing away all of these workers. Betastar refusing to run them away. Does have a robotics facility making, though. Meanwhile, this attack being pushed back by these Zerglings. However, not really getting very many kills, and these lings are slowly being picked apart. However, has some lurkers and more lurkers morphing down here. This robotics facility is finished. However, we do not see any observatory yet. And CudleZerg removing those moving the lurkers while the goons were taking out the overlord and Zerglings in the base. And meanwhile, these goons were able to take care of those Zerglings at the main. However, not focusing the eggs as they hatch and immediately getting taken out by these lurkers. And in fact, reinforcement lurkers popping up. Unable to take out the Sunken. The Sunken lives at 18 HP. Meanwhile, observatory, 70% of the way done, but the robotics facility about to die. Betastar, unfortunately, running out of workers, has lost his robotics facility now. Is losing his, the army units that he has over here. Has started the 3rd down here, but has no saturation or making any probes out of it. Pretty much has only what he has here at the natural. And meanwhile, CudleZerg has another overlord ready to drop more things into the main. Meanwhile, these goons dancing back and forth, trying to just do whatever they can. And in fact, CudleZerg catching these overlords coming out, deciding to send them back. And Betastar desperately trying to get up this robotics facility, but unfortunately making it right next to the lurkers every single time. And desperately trying to get gas, even though he's running these probes right again into the lurkers. And Betastar, unfortunately, agent of his own demise, keeps sending these workers one at a time immediately into these... keep sending workers into these lurkers one at a time and just sacrificing themselves, essentially handing the win to CudleZerg. CudleZerg going for another drop, dropping some more reinforcement lings. Will push these goons into these lurkers potentially. And Betastar trying to pull the probes to help out the goons kill these lings. However, immediately running them into the lurkers. CudleZerg going to work on everything, pretty much dismantling Betastar with just these two lurkers and a few lings. And Betastar trying to go for a little attack with these two goons, but has basically nothing. However, refuses to concede. Meanwhile, CudleZerg finally finished Overlord Speed. Has more lings in the main. Will catch these goons out in the open. However, will probably end up losing to them despite the fact that technically lings are supposed to kill goons. Technically. But and these goons immediately running into a wall of lurkers. And CudleZerg dropping even more lurkers here into the natural, despite the fact that there aren't any workers even here. Losing another goon there. Is trying to make another robotics out of the lurker's range. However, these lings, if they'd stop being lazy, in fact, starting to now beat on it. However, is about to lose the core. Has a few workers now at his third and a few workers back at his natural. However, down to just 6 workers. And the robotics facility will be basically taken out almost immediately as soon as it is finished. And CudleZerg going for another drop. Dropping off more and more units. And with that, there's nothing Betastar can do. He's lost all his tech. He's only got a few cannons. But if CudleZerg produces another couple round of lings, he could easily just smash through that. But actually, Betastar deciding, GG! CudleZerg able to 3cm drop Betastar for the win, reminiscent of a famous pro game between Yellow and Bisu from Heartbreak Ridge. Will CrossToss loss in earlier rounds prevent him from winning his first PvZ this league? Or will McRaveZ be the wild card that pulls Team WOPR back from the edge of defeat? Let's find out. And for potentially game point series match, we have CrossToss for the average Joes. Down here is ProToss at the 5 o'clock. And McRaveZ for Team WOPR. Last chance down here at 7 o'clock. Currently, McRaveZ actually sending the Overlord in the correct scouting location. Will be able to see CrossToss momentarily and everything that he ends up deciding to do. Assuming he doesn't, potentially run it into cannons or something if CrossToss decides to go for a Force Fast Expand. We'll have to see, though. You never know what happens. From here, though, McRaveZ, a little bit of an unpredictable wild card. We'll have to see if CrossToss decides to match his aggressiveness or potentially go for some really defensive play. Is going for that first pylon out as natural. We'll have to see again if that's for a gateway or if that's for a forge. McRaveZ, though, going for the 9 pool. Is adding on a few extra drones and has not made an Overlord yet. Potentially going for something super cheesy. In fact, doing the extractor trick here. Just now deciding to make the Overlord. Meanwhile, CrossToss being super annoying with this probe, preventing McRaveZ from getting down a natural hatchery, although McRaveZ doesn't even have the minerals to do that right now. So CrossToss may actually be wasting his APM trying to prevent something that's not even happening. Meanwhile, pool finished. However, Zerglings are not coming out just yet. Has sent up a second drone to try to get CrossToss to give up this annoying harass here. Meanwhile, CrossToss adding that forge at his expansion, at his natural. And CrossToss adding a pylon even to potentially further block that hatchery from McRaveZ. McRaveZ deciding to send his drones back to the main. Has decided to make a round of lings now, finally. McRaveZ, despite opening with the pool, has not made lings until he saw that pylon. Kind of negating the point of going for a pool first build to begin with. Meanwhile, CrossToss has started that gateway before his natural nexus. However, McRaveZ finally will be able to clear out this pylon. Meanwhile, CrossToss doing his best to scout every location, not wanting to get any sort of hidden bases or anything to keep the opponent back in the game. However, McRaveZ seems very content to do some sort of Zergling all-in, not adding the natural hatchery even though it has finally cleared out that location. In fact, sending a small wave of Zerglings to attack. Sending roughly 8, although they are piecemealed halfway across the map in roughly 3 groups. But again, CrossToss just being super vigilant, checking all the locations to make sure there's not some sort of third hatchery that he might have missed. Well, I guess technically it would be a second hatchery, but some sort of proxy hatchery. Meanwhile, that second cannon almost finished. Has finally added on the gas. Does have a pylon. Will probably add a core soon. Natural nexus about 60% of the way done. Meanwhile, McRaveZ, unfortunately, may have decided that he doesn't know what exactly he wants to do. With this initial Zergling push deflected, has decided to finally take a natural hatchery. Meanwhile, CrossToss going back around, checking all the locations again to make sure there wasn't a third hatchery that he might have missed. And these Zerglings in a pretty decent concave in case any Zealot aggression comes in. However, CrossToss hasn't even made 1 Zealot yet. In fact, adding 3 gateways before a Stargate or Citadel, wanting to go for a super aggressive play. Hasn't started +1 weapons yet, however. McRaveZ adding on a gas now. That probe will immediately walk right by and through all of that Zergling line and get a firm scout of all of McRaveZ's tech. Unfortunately, McRaveZ in a terrible position, incredibly far behind, not able to get up the natural hatchery before CrossToss has even started his gas at his natural nexus. Meanwhile, adding on the Citadel of Adune, again, has not gone for the Stargate, though I guess technically doesn't need it, considering he got the full scout with the probe, plus knows that there's not Mutas coming. Meanwhile, McRaveZ continues just to add Zerglings and a drone here and there, seeming to really mess up for this final Zergling all-in. In fact, getting research for the speed. Meanwhile, CrossToss producing out of 4 gateways, lots of Zealots. Has started +1. We'll probably start legs soon. In fact, starting it now. Meanwhile, McRaveZ has a lot of Zerglings out in a conga line. CrossToss may be in a bit of trouble, in fact deciding that now is the time to go. This is his one timing to try to break through the front lines that CrossToss has. However, with 2 cannons and 4 Zealots, well, if they're able to surround the Zealots, they may actually be able to win. However, McRaveZ deciding to go for this one giant attack. CrossToss, unfortunately, not getting a very good hold position on this lower part of his wall off. Immediately trying to run a Zealot down there to block it in. However, will immediately get jumped on by McRaveZ's Lings and sacrificed. However, 3 more Zealots coming out to take its place. And in fact, almost had a run by there. However, Workers performing a little extra duty and killing off them with the last hit as soon as it ran by. Meanwhile, McRaveZ still producing nothing but Zerglings. Trying to attack. However, CrossToss finally has completed all of the holes of his wall off with a Zealots. So there's literally 0 chance of these Zerglings breaking through. Meanwhile, has started and finished the archives, adding on more pylons and adding on the Stargate now, finally. For McRaveZ, though, just adding more and more Lings. Is going to kill off that scouting probe, finally. However, +1 weapons almost done, and when that's done, when Zerglings don't have the accompanying armor for themselves, the Zealots start 2-hitting them. And speed will also be done, in fact, already done for the Zealots. So they are going to be a very potent Zergling killing force. Meanwhile, also summoning 4 High Templars out of these gateways, and adding on a robotics facility, just in case there might be lurkers that he doesn't know about. And CrossToss moving out just a little bit. You can immediately see the power of these +1 Zealots as they rip through those Zerglings, no problem. Easily reducing about 1/5 of that Zergling force with just these cannons and roughly 7 Zealots. Has also added 2 more gateways. And now with these High Templars out, possibly maybe looking to move out soon. No, actually warping them into Archons. Going for the old PvZ 4 gateway +1 Zealot attack, where you make 2 Archons and a bunch of like 8 to 12 Zealots and just go for an all-in at the Zergling's natural. And now that he has these Archons, these Zerglings stand 0 chance as long as he is able to keep this army together. And in fact, sending out a Corsair out of that Stargate to go scout everything out. And even making a pylon here so he has a little extra warning for his 3rd in case they break through that little extra area over there. However, McRaveZ, having 0 anti-air currently, will start losing some Overlords to these Corsairs. And CrossToss deciding now is the time to move out. These Zerglings rushing back, trying to avoid engaging directly with this Zealot Archon force. However, it's only a matter of time until they're pushed all the way to the natural, and he'll have no choice but to try to attack them head on to save his base. Even trying to get up a few Sunkens to try to protect and reinforce his Ling army. Has a Spore up now finally too. CrossToss will probably lose his Corsair. No, is able to finally eventually save it. However, these Zerglings, even with this Sunken support, refuse to engage. And these Zealots just steamrolling all the way into McRaveZ's base. Looks like CrossToss will be able to seal this for the average Joes. Team WOPR unfortunately falling 3-1 in favor of the average Joes. Lost all of his natural, still has some of these Lings dancing on the periphery of this Protoss army. However, there is no chance these Lings have any chance of doing anything to this amount of Zealot and Archon. In fact, being forced packed by all of the new produced units that CrossToss has sent over. And McRaveZ down to just a handful of Zerglings as these Zealots come marching into his base, trying to drill against them. However, getting immediately steamrolled by what is left of this Protoss army. Meanwhile, CrossToss has added a crap ton of pylons, has stayed on the 6 gateways though, but mass producing vast amounts of army every round. And McRaveZ, down to his last hatchery, will be eliminated. And with that, the Joes take the series tonight. And CrossToss with some very aggressive play forces McRaveZ into a Zergling all-in that he easily deflects and then counterattacks with a decently sized Zealot Archon army to take the series. We would like to again thank you for tuning in tonight, and just to let everyone know again that we will be taking a small break till December 17th when the start of round 3 kicks off. We hope to see you there and have a good night.